Welcome everybody to Success Secrets of the Real Estate Superstars. We have Chad Golzer with us today from the greater Seattle area. Excited, we've been friends for quite a while and I just wanted to give you a different perspective from Chad. So if you can introduce yourself, Chad, and tell us about your team.
Great seeing you again, Betty. It's been a long time. Always love talking to you. So from Seattle, Washington. I actually started my real estate career license in 2005, but didn't even start real estate until 2015 when I joined my wife. So we were just a husband and wife, I guess, team, if you will, in November of 2015. And just started to do real estate. I realized that for me, my past experience was in leadership and building. So I have to build something. And after our first year of, we were rookies of the year for Keller Williams in the Northwest area here. But after doing that, I realized like, okay, I'm not just gonna be a sole agent because that doesn't excite me every day. So we decided to have a team. And first thing we did is we actually followed the MREA model, believe it or not, millionaire real estate agent. And we hired our first assistant. And our first assistant was everything: our marketing, our operations, our admin, our client care. It was like that all in one person. And that was a scary thing because we didn't have money to pay for it. And we just did it. So it's like that, you take that leap. But we've gone from that in the first year, 2016, to now we have a team of 10 in 2020? Yeah, 2020 going on 2021.
Yes, the year of 2020.
Yeah, you kind of trying to forget where we are, but it's like, yeah, so we have, now we'll include my wife and myself, we have 6 agents. We have 2 part-time ISAs and they're in-house. And we have 2 admin, 1 director of client care and 1 our director of operations and marketing.
Great. So I was just talking to somebody yesterday and they said if we'd have followed that model straight on from the start, we could have made a lot more progress. Do you feel that way?
You know, it's funny. I read the MREA book from Gary Keller back in 2005. Believe it or not, I was still working at Amazon at the time, and I read it probably 2 or 3, 4 times because I didn't get the concepts. And when I joined, I went, oh, I think I need to follow this model. And I'm not a good follower. I like to create myself, and I think because I'm still following it. So I'm not at a level 7, and that's not, you know, your goal is what your goal is, but hiring that first admin and not trying to do it myself from the beginning, but doing it myself long enough where I knew what needed to happen was really beneficial. And I think it's also made me a little more, I guess, controlled, if you will. I think it's the wrong word. I have that in a way, but what it did is it gave me some kind of footprint. And now know that you hire your first admin and your second hire should be another admin, right? So that's kind of how it should scale. Well, my wife and I were both there. And so we probably hired ahead of time what the resources we needed. Yeah, so I would do the whole thing again the exact way we did it because I like where we are, and believe it or not, our first hire is actually still with us.
Great. So if you had to do it over again, you would maybe do it a little bit slower?
Maybe I would follow it even closer. So, you know, the MREA also includes what we should spend on marketing, what your profit should be, when does the next time to hire your next hire? I would slower, yeah. So let me explain that. So slower would have been, I wouldn't have hired 2 more buyer's agents as fast as we did because Teresa and I, my wife, could have handled the more business and doubled our business. I think the first year we did 25 units. We could have doubled it just ourselves with our admin.
And been more profitable.
Instead, we got more buyer's agents. We started, and then it was like you're managing people. You have more money. You have more marketing. It's like it just went. We were going like this, and just slowed us down to like almost a stop.
You know, what's very interesting is most of the people I interview don't have in their personality an analytical bone. You, on the other hand, do. And we were talking about before the call, it sort of is a great thing. And also with also high D. So you've got the start and stop going on at the same time, right?
Right. So being a DS, like to the extremes. So I want things done now quickly and I want to move forward. My goals are massive and they're lofty and I just want to run. And my perfectionism, if you will, pulls that back to make sure I have a system to support it. So and I think it creates really good systems for us. So that's one thing I'm proud of. But again, if you are a high D and you love to drive and just go, you better have that great admin. And my wife, Teresa, so as we started, she's a great salesperson, but she does not like systems, doesn't like processes, doesn't like control, she's just going to sell because she's great at it. So if you don't have that, you better have somebody on your team for it. Until I hired the person that has that, I was it.
Chad, I wanted to ask you about your production. and profitability. Tell me about that.
So production is good. So again, it's not where I always want it. So we because we didn't quite achieve our goals this year, but we will do 30 million in volume. We'll just hit 700,000 in GCI. And the thing I pride myself in though is that we've increased our growth 20% a year, something like that. And that's not a bad number, but it's not fast. And the reason why I've done it that way is so that I don't have this kind of thing in my business. And I also, like you said, we talked earlier, we talked about my budget and how I plan my year. I do have a budget for the whole year. And I do use the MREA model. Even with all the ISA hiring and the agents and all the marketing we do and all the things we spend and pay for, we still do average 30% profitability year over year.
Fantastic. Yeah.
And it's been 30% or plus. And I also know that I manage my expenses to my P&L every month. So I have a detailed P&L and I know what percentage I'm spending in all those areas.
Why am I not surprised?
Well, I think if you don't grow that way, if you don't start your career in real estate as a business and you start as a hobby and you just deposit paychecks and all this, like that's just a recipe for disaster. So I started as a business, as an LLC with a budget, with a model, with an investment, and managed it incrementally. And that's why probably we haven't grown as fast as I would like to. Although this year we're in a position where, because of profitability, we have some cash flow, we can take some bigger risks this next year. So
well, you know what's exciting as you grow your business and you have more and more clients, and I know, you know, we talked about like what's most important for you is having 5-star clients throughout the whole experience. So as you grow and the more years you're into it with the same staff, you're going to be more and more profitable because you won't have to pay so much for the lead sources, right?
That's the goal, right? And I think if you go in that, we go with mindset is lifetime. So my conversation with everybody is I want to be your real estate professional. I don't for life.
Yeah.
And we're always gonna work to get a 5-star review because that's how you build a business that lasts is foundationally taking care of each client one at a time. Yeah.
So true, so true. And I mean, some of these big teams, like sometimes, you know, the service really suffers. And so it's really good to hear that with a big team, that everybody's happy and you're getting those 5-star reviews and the future is bright, my dear. So a lot of drama in real estate groups, you know, you hear these big groups, they had 19 people in the whole group, you know, it fell apart. I don't see a lot of drama in your organization. Am I correct?
So you don't see a lot of drama because we don't have a huge team, and I'll explain some drama. So that is it, right? So if you get your culture right and you grow at an appropriate, you know, either you grow for just pure profit and you're going to be quick, or you're going to try to build a foundational business. And that's kind of where we went from 2 of us to 10 now. And there were let's call it 3 or 4 mistakes along the way, hires that I think in hindsight you go, oh, I totally could see that was happening. But what happened is that you make the wrong hire and it just changes the culture, even though you didn't intend for it to. And then you remove the person and you start again. And so we had a couple of those, but it was never a blow up. It was more of a, this is not working and it's uncomfortable and it's slowing us down. So that I think that's, and they'll say, you know, slow to hire, quick to fire, but we're even though you say it, and I said it 3 years ago, we hired people we knew. So that was a mistake. Actually it was 50-50. We actually had 2 out of 3, one was not a good fit. So we got lucky, but it's like, you gotta be really careful that you don't give up your team culture. Like that's the thing that, like in 2020, this year, we're starting to hire again. So we're gonna hire 4 more agents next year.
Oh,
it's like, it goes back to culture. So culture is something that if they don't check all the boxes in culture, you better not move forward. And that's what our guiding principle is this year for our hires.
that's exciting. So where do you see this going? What is your goal? Do you even plan out 5 years in advance?
I do. So you know me. So you know me well. I'm a planner of 2, 4, 1, 3, 5 years. At Amazon, I learned about, we goes about a 3-year plan and a 10-year plan, right? 3-year plan is you thinking a little creative. 10 years, like what if? But you bring it back into the 1 year, because after 1 year, things can change, right? The real estate market changes every year. And so what I confidently do is I have a 5-year plan, big picture. What do I want to be doing in 5 years? And then what do the numbers kind of look like? It's not just about numbers for me. It's like, what do I want my life to be like? What role do I want to play? Do I want to do more sales? Do I want to lead? And then the 1 year, you know me, every year I do a very detailed business plan. And I actually do it from the bottom up. So most teams will actually say, I want to do this. And I do it bottoms up, which is what do our team members want to do on their own goals? What are my goals? And then is there a gap? Then we're going to hire to it. So that's kind of why we're going to hire this year. And so the reason why my goals were higher than our current teams is there's just things I want to do with our business, and to grow your business in a certain way, it takes more capital. And the thing that drives me, you also know this, is that I think there's a great opportunity to serve more people. So the driver for me is how many more people can I serve at this high level? And that's kind of what dictates kind of my growth. And then also, I mean, we're going to grow 2x next year. I'll just leave it in general terms like that, but we're going to grow double what we did this year next year. And so it just takes a little bit more of a team to ensure you're going to hit those numbers.
Exciting, exciting. Yeah. So where do your lead sources come from?
I love this question. I love asking the question to everybody I meet, right? Because they come from different places for everybody. And it's all based on the part of the country you're in. But majority, so before 2020, let's do that first. So in the middle of 2020, they were the standard ones. They're open houses, they're past clients sphere. And past clients and spheres, we have a great referral program. So that was one big one. A lot of online leads through both social, but mostly through Google. And then earlier in our career, of course, we did Zillow, we did Realtor, stuff like that, first couple of years because you wanted to get your name out there. But then the leads started getting too expensive. So then what we did is we actually did our own in-house marketing. So we're actually doing more dollars towards Google ads. We do more, and we do more towards social, Facebook, all that. And then we did some farming, right? And so we've hired 2 part-time ISAs this year. I've tried to outsource that in the past. It just doesn't work for me because again, that high D, high S, I want control of everything.
Mm-hmm.
That all of our online leads come through the ISAs, and so that's a big source. And then the other source we use that we're gonna do more of is really around special groups. So let me give you an example. So we're gonna do something like webinars around for first-time home buyers. Everybody does that. They do a first home buyer class, but because we're in COVID, we can't really go and do the things that we used to do. So we're gonna do more of the online classes like that. And I have other channels we're targeting, which are classrooms and stuff. And so we're gonna do that virtually. But that's gonna be a good source because we haven't done a lot of education and we haven't done a lot online. So I would have switched quicker this year, but we just didn't have the training programs set up for that.
I like the model of the ISAs in-house. So you've got your salespeople that the ISAs hand out the leads to. So they don't have to be salespeople and ISAs at the same time, correct?
Right. So I started with our agents and we started working the numbers and, here's your appointments or here's your calls and here's all the things that you're going to be doing every day and make sure these making contacts. And what was happening was I saw that agents being less and less productive. So they had one year, they actually did less the other year. And the ISA concept was around bringing the online leads and everything into them so they could sort them first. So our agents are still responsible for nurturing their current clients, or they're responsible for nurturing the leads they get. And then they're also responsible for a certain small farm that they have, and then their sphere. But if they have responsibility for that, those calls are at a much higher level, right? Much higher level of connectedness, a much higher level of education, a much longer conversation. It is the development of a relationship. And so by taking those leads off of them, I've seen them be much more purposeful in their conversations.
Yeah, I love that. So I know you always believed in coaching. So tell me about that. Like early on, you got a coach, right? And you've been in coaching ever since.
I got a coach probably the second year or first year I was in real estate. I think 2016, right? And that was you, and it was great. And you, it's like you don't know what you don't know. Like without a coach, you can't ask yourself the right questions. And usually without a coach, I find that I ask myself exactly the questions I want to ask myself because they're easy and I know the answers to them. But it's when you get that coach that kind of, and for me, like every coach is different for every client. And for me, it wasn't so much accountability. I didn't need you to make sure I made my calls, or I didn't need you to make sure I did what I said I was going to do. You actually would ask me questions about the process or the hire or my goal or something that you made me think differently, right? Ask me different questions than my own thinking. And every year, it's funny, I haven't ever thought about not having a coach. Now, once you have one, the only question I ask is it the right coach for you? And as you grow, you go into a different coach.
Yeah.
And it's not because that coach wasn't great. It's because that coach.
It's just you need something different. Exactly.
just a different voice, something different that just triggers a different thought in your head, right?
Mhm.
And that's been, I've loved it. Yeah. So I've had coaching every year, and I don't even imagine an end to it. In fact, I would have started coaching earlier if I had thought about it.
Yeah. Now,
Day
I
one.
always tell you, you'd be a great coach. Have you ever thought about that again since we talked about it?
I think about it all the time, and I am working to coach my team right now. So this year I'm trying to figure out, like, if I hire 2 or 3 more agents this year, or 4, and the way agents we have, how can I coach them? And can I use that ability that I love, which is actually how do I grow other people's businesses? If I do that successfully, then I might look at coaching. But right now I'm being a little selfish, and I think if I can coach my team well and I can prove that results there, I'll have more to offer others if I would coach outside of my team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you. Well, what else can you think of that would help somebody? I have this lady that has a similar profile to you. And listen to this. She's going to do 100 deals by herself. You know, when you talk to her, she seems normal.
We all can fake everybody out. Yes, that's right.
But like, you know, when we think about how to help her build a team, there she actually doesn't even have much D in her personality, very high SC. And, you know, you don't see that very often where somebody does 100 deals like that by herself, just one transaction coordinator. So, you know, immediately I think the best route for her is an operations manager to handle the whole thing. Because if you don't like conflict, you're in the wrong profession if you want to build a team, right?
Right. So that's a really good one, because here's where I see the challenge for her. Let's just say somebody is an individual agent and they can crush it, and there's agents that they're doing it all the time. Some of them don't even have the admin, so at least she has a TC and she's doing that. That's great. But being a high SC, what the challenge is for her is that, how do you delegate? How do you give up? How do you let go when you're the one that can do it the best, right? And that's the challenge that I had as well. And how I found it, which is you do hire ahead. You hire that operations manager that actually runs your business, right?
Mhm.
And then you slowly delegate those things that you're either not good at. And after a while, they build the trust. You can start delegating more. So I'm still delegating. Like, trust me, I'm still doing dumb stuff that I should not be doing. That my director of client care operation manager says, Chad, you got to stop it. But I would tell anybody, one is you're gonna get burnout if you try to do that many deals, and 2 is like, do the things that you're great at. So what are the 5 things that she loves doing, and then release those things. It can be one thing at a time, right? Take the other 20 things off your list one at a time. But you got to hire that person that's kind of in it all the way. And what I would say is not hire a salesperson, because obviously she's good at sales. So you don't need to hire the salesperson. You hire somebody to take the stuff off of your plate so she can do more of what she's great at.
So more admin support. Well, so wonderful to see you. I wish we could see you in person, maybe.
Exactly.
Right?
would love to see you guys more. Yeah,
I guess
exactly.
We'll do the elite retreat online coming up.
Absolutely. Yeah. I look forward to that as well. And I still have, people we hang out with, virtually or phone conversations and through the conferences we go to. And that's, I'm not one about collecting 5,000 people that I follow and hang out with. I have about 10, right? So I have a very tight group of people across the country in different marketplaces with different companies, because I think that's even smarter. And we just kind of push each other and ask questions, and we'll, just support each other in what they're doing. Everybody's doing their things their own way. And you can learn what works and what doesn't work. And I think those relationships are really critical to being successful. So like, you reached out to me. I love hearing how you're doing. I love, the questions you ask. And I'm thankful for actually just the group that I've surrounded myself with. And it's like, you can never have enough people on your side, but just make sure they're the people that you want to model and be around, right?
Isn't that the truth? Well, love you, Chad. Happy holidays. Have a wonderful time. I know you got a new grandbaby and you have a singer in the family, all sorts of exciting things, right?
AlecJordanmusic.com. Yeah.
All
So
right. That's a good
there's my
plug.
plug. Yeah. So thank you. Happy holidays. And just thank you so much for everything, Betty.
Okay. Love you, babe. See ya.
Cheers.